Welcome back everyone to another collecting video. This video is all about Metal Gear Solid. I'm going to show off my Metal Gear Solid collection and a few things I picked up and some things I'm collecting. I recently finished my Metal Gear Solid 2 video, so I thought it'd be a good idea to show you guys what kind of Metal Gear Solid stuff I have at the minute and the kind of stuff I look for. I think in general it's a good time to start collecting Metal Gear Solid because Kojima has left Konami, or he's been fired from Konami. And the best of Metal Gear Solid has been made. It's already out there, so I think now's a good time to start collecting this stuff before it gets too rare. And I recently picked up a few Metal Gear Solid things, but I got one very special thing, which I think could be potentially special, which I'll show you towards the end of this video. But for now, let's just get dug in here and show you some of the stuff that I already have in my collection. And I've had for a really long time. The first of which is of course a must-have for any Metal Gear Solid fan. It was the original Metal Gear Solid on the PlayStation 1. I think this may actually be my original version, but I think I've probably got about 3 of these now just through picking up some bundles and stuff. So it's always good to have. This one here actually comes with the Silent Hill demo, which I played as a kid, and I haven't actually went back and played this for a long time. I was really scared to play this when I was younger. So scared, in fact, it put me off buying Silent Hill. Like, that's how good it was, if you could see it in that way. Like, survival horrors just kind of got that dilemma where it can be too alienating for new players, and this demo was definitely that for me. I also have the special missions for this in a separate disc. But it's for some reason it's in this box. It's just the same box, but it has the VR missions essentially. So that's pretty good. Another thing I've had in my collection for the longest time is Metal Gear Solid 2 Substance. This is for the original Xbox, and I had the PlayStation 2 version, but I sold all my PlayStation stuff. But years later, I would go back and play this again on the Xbox One. Original Xbox, and I decided to hold on to this one. This is whenever I've got all my original Xbox games and all my original GameCube games. So this was really good to go back and play for a second time round, because I got to play the VR missions, and I loved the VR missions. I played them absolutely to death. But another, I suppose the last of my original things, like I said, I kept my GameCube stuff. So I kept the remake. Twin Snakes is a remake of the original Metal Gear Solid, and if anyone's a fan of Metal Gear Solid 1, you have to play this version. The only way to play it is on the GameCube, or I guess on the Wii, but you'd have to use the GameCube disc. And it's a remake of the first one, but it's essentially, the way I look at this is, it's like what Metal Gear Solid 1 would be like had it been released in the PlayStation 2 era, because it's pretty much, it has all the gameplay of Metal Gear Solid 2 and the graphics of Metal Gear Solid 2, but it's set in the Metal Gear Solid 1 universe. So you can do all the same things that you could have done in Metal Gear Solid 2. You can jump over railings and stuff like that. So it slightly changes the gameplay a little bit, and it makes it for like a bit of a new experience. And a slight downside here, the music did change. It's not the same music. So there are some compromises, but if you are a fan of Metal Gear Solid 1, you have to play this version. It's kind of rare. It's not that it's rare, but it's so sought after, I guess, because it's the only way to play it. It was only ever released in the GameCube, and it's probably stuck there. This version may never get released anywhere else, especially the way Nintendo are with letting other people have their games, and Nintendo maybe have some sort of license to this. I don't know, but yeah, definitely check that one out. I only recently got Metal Gear Solid 4, because I never had a PlayStation 3, and it's pretty much locked to the PlayStation 3, the same way Twin Snakes is locked to the GameCube. Whenever I got this, it came with the official guide, which is really handy, because obviously, I mean, I'm probably going to get stuck at some point playing this, so it's handy just to have the book when I'm playing it. But I find this game to be a little weird. I've only played a couple of hours of it just to kind of try it out. And the over-the-shoulder camera angle, to me, doesn't really feel right in a Metal Gear Solid game. I'm used to the kind of cinematic camera angles you get in Metal Gear Solid 2 and 1. And I always thought it was quite weird that that's the direction the games went in. And I talk a little about that in my video, but it's kind of feels like when I'm playing Metal Gear Solid 4, it feels like I'm playing Peace Walker, which is strange to me. But anyway, I need to play it more to make have a better opinion about it, I guess. Next up is a couple of PSP games. I talked about these in a previous video. I picked up these with a bundle and got them for really cheap. I still don't have a PSP yet to play these, and I don't have. I think there's a Portable Ops Plus I'm gonna get. So I want to check out some more PSP games before I need to get a PSP to obviously play them. But I want to have them all and try them out whenever I finally get that. Peace Walker, I'm going to show you another version of this pretty soon. Really good game, and I've wanted to play the original for a while, so I might start there when I go back to the PSP, or I might try them in order, I'm not sure. I don't know, I think there's 3 on the PSP, so I need to get another one, and there's that PlayStation Portable Ops Plus, which I'm not even sure what it adds, but need to collect some more of this. My collection is far from complete, there's so much to collect for Metal Gear. This is the other version of Peace Walker. So this is in HD, and this allowed you to play co-op with a friend, and this also has Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3 in HD. So this is a great collection. I talk about this in so many of my videos, but I just absolutely love this collection, and it's just really good to be able to play these games in HD, and possibly a bit like the GameCube version of Metal Gear. This may be the only way. It may never be released on, say, the Xbox One or any further consoles. It's just hard to know what will happen with Metal Gear in the future now that Kojima has left. But if I find this cheap somewhere, I definitely just go out of my way to pick this up because it's such a nice thing to have. I have a few of them actually, and I even have a brand new copy of it, still sealed and still in the shrink wrap and everything. And just a nice thing to collect. It may be valuable in the future if in 5 or 6 years time Konami never release any more Metal Gear HD collections or anything like that. People will want to go back and play Metal Gear 2 and 3 in the best possible way they can, and this is one of the best ways, especially on the 360. I don't know if it'll ever be backward compatible, but I don't know, I think this is possibly one to look out for. I collect them when I see them cheap. So it could be a bit of a rare item in the future. And I totally forgot, I have the Metal Gear Solid Essential Collection. I pretty much bought this after my love of the HD collection. I seen this and like I didn't know this even existed, and I was like, wow. So I went back and got this. This was never released. If you see the rating there, it's this is an American version. It was never released in Europe. So it's quite rare for me to actually get my hands on this because it doesn't come up very often on eBay or anything like that. And it's not really well known about. Actually, I never even knew this existed, but it's pretty much like the HD collection but on the PlayStation. And it's kind of weird to see Metal Gear Solid 1 in a... Oh, I just dropped something. In a big box like this, a PlayStation 2 box. It's got both discs just the way it would have in the original PlayStation 1 version. And something I thought was quite funny, on the back of this, there is no... If you know anything about Metal Gear Solid, it tells you to check the back of the box for a certain codec thing. So, but then I realized whenever I looked at the back of the actual outer cardboard box, it does have that screenshot. I know it's a bit of a spoiler, but Meryl in the game, you have to contact her, and it asks you to look at the back of the box, and you're going, what the hell are they talking about? And then you realize that it's the back of the actual game box. That completely messed with my friend's head whenever we were younger. But so basically what this means is that the back of every Metal Gear Solid box has to have that screenshot, because it's part of the game. And let me just see, Twin Snakes also has to have it because, yeah, there it is right there. If it didn't have that, you would be pretty much stuck. You wouldn't be able to contact Meryl and then get on to the next part of the game. Oh, and another thing I completely forgot to mention about the HD collection is there was a limited edition version of it, and I've always wanted one, and that's what you can see right over there. I bought this on eBay and it was described as in very good condition. Now let me just grab it to show you guys what condition it's in. So it's like the whole box is squashed, and there's you can see marks all over it. The whole thing is like torn and ripped up and stuff, so it's in far from good condition. And I don't know whether, I thought about actually, I'll maybe even try and get a refund on this because it's just not been very well looked after at all, and it's just full of rips and stuff like that, so it's definitely not in very good condition. So I'll probably see about getting a refund on this or something, and maybe try and look out for one that's in better condition. I mean, it's not the thickest of cardboard, it's quite flimsy, so I can understand how these things get like this, but I mean, if you look after your stuff, it's not going to happen. And as well as that, like if he listed it as in used condition or like not good condition, it wouldn't be the same. I wouldn't be annoyed, but like I paid like a pretty reasonable amount of money for it, and it's all bent and out of shape and stuff. So I'd like to probably get a better version of it at some point. A more complete version as well. It didn't actually even come with the. It's supposed to come with a T-shirt. It didn't come with that. It didn't even come with the game actually, which I wasn't too annoyed about at the time because I have plenty of the games. But I didn't realize. This is the annoying thing. The photo was taken really far away, and it was a bundle of stuff, so it looked fine from a distance. But normally people like attach photos, like they have a few photos and they take it from different angles and they see like any marks and stuff like that. This person didn't do that. They just took a really far away photo and listed it as very good. So I'm kind of annoyed about that, and I'm going to see about getting a refund and try and get like a better version of it. But what it didn't come with the game or anything, but it did come with this metal case. This is really, really nice, well presented, and it does have Raiden, Big Boss, and Solid Snake on there. I'm glad to see that Raiden's on that. Sometimes you see artwork and it doesn't include Raiden because he was hated by a lot of people. I actually like Raiden, and I'm glad I seen him on there. Like, he is part of Metal Gear Solid 2. There's no point in hiding him. So it's good to see they're all representing their games on there. It's such a nice case, but unfortunately I'll probably have to send this back because I'm going to try and get a refund. The limited edition version did come with a really big art book, and it's got some really nice things in here. It's all just artwork from the various games, and nice to go through. Metal Gear Solids always came with these great drawings in their manuals. That's something I've loved about it. So nice little book just to leaf through and have a look at. One more collection for you guys. This is the Legacy collection for the PlayStation 3. This is exclusive, it only came out on the PlayStation 3, and that's because it has Metal Gear Solid 1 and the Metal Gear Solid 1 special missions or VR missions. It also had Metal Gear Solid 4, which again is a PlayStation exclusive thing, so that's why this only came out on the PlayStation. It's the ultimate collection. It has everything. The only thing is the Metal Gear Solid 1 is actually a downloadable code. So once you download it and it's just locked to that computer. I actually got this with a code. I actually bought the as you can see, the special thing about this one is that it's the European version now. At first this didn't come out in Europe, and then eventually fans cried out and it did come out. So that's why it's quite rare to get it on this. It has a little art book and stuff in this version, and but really hard to get hold of. You only see like 2 or 3 of these on eBay at a time, and they're always selling for like a lot of money. But because the way the PlayStation 3 is, if you buy the American version it works anyway, so you can buy the American version quite cheap, and that's what I've actually done. I bought it and it came with the downloadable codes and they worked perfectly fine. So I have a PlayStation 3 with now like essentially every Metal Gear Solid game, bar not every, but all the main ones, bar the Twin Snakes remake. Again, it was always going to be tied to the GameCube, so it's always good to have that. But brilliant collection to have if you have a PlayStation 3 and you're a fan. I mean, in some ways it's not that necessary. All you're really getting is 4, and you're getting those original Metal Gear games. But if you don't want to spend the money, the HD collection is kind of as good, really. You get like some of the best things, and you can pick up 4 quite cheap anyway. Like Metal Gear Solid 4 does not sell for a lot of money because there were so many of them made. It's just supply and demand. You can get them for a couple of pounds. You can get Metal Gear Solid 4, but still a nice thing to have and really collectible, especially if you can find a European version, because not a lot came out, not a lot sold, and just a nice thing to have. So that just leaves me with the final pickup. This is something that's potentially really special. I seen this on eBay. A little tip for you guys: if you're ever searching on eBay, search for auctions that are ending soonest, and under video games, you'll find things that have been listed wrong, and you'll find things that other people haven't picked up on, they haven't been searching for whatever reason. And I've got some good bargains doing that, and this one I think I may have got a really good bargain. This game was just listed as Metal Gear Solid 3, that was it, that's all the listing said, nothing else, but whenever I clicked on the image I noticed that it had some marks on it. Now normally whenever people, when you get these games and the people have drawn over the top of them and stuff or written their name on it, it devalues it. Which is true except for this case because of the person that did scribble on the front of this. Now I think that potentially the person that scribbled on this may have been Hideo Kojima himself. I'll let you guys judge for yourself on this, but I have looked at a lot of his signatures and I think this could be legitimate. Now I contacted the person that was selling this and after I won the auction and said to him if he knew anything about it, and he wrote back saying yeah. I actually said to him, do you know anything about the signature? And he said, yeah, I actually realised that it was a signature now that it's been sold, because when he first listed it, he thought it was just someone had scribbled on it. That was all it was. He didn't know anything about the game. When I looked into his stuff he was selling a bunch of PlayStation games, a bunch of games in general. He had like thousands of feedback, so I think he was just like a reseller. He just like bought bulk stuff and just listed it all on eBay. He didn't know what he had, and he just sold as was. He didn't know anything about it, and I think it could be genuine, but it's hard to tell actually. I didn't know until I got my hands on it, but it has actually been signed in the inner case, like on the actual paper itself, which would suggest that it is original. Like if someone had just scribbled over the top of it, on the actual outside of the plastic, then that would make me think that it was fake. But the other thing is, if this was a fake, this guy said he picked up recently in a bundle of stuff, if it was a fake, and I think someone would sell it as a fake, you know, and try and get money for it. They wouldn't just put it on there as just being a Metal Gear Solid game. You're not going to get much money for that. I actually only paid around £13 for this, so the way I look at it is, either way, if it's real, great, it's in my collection. If it's fake, I don't mind. I haven't spent a lot of money on it. I don't plan on selling this. I just bought this to have. It's a nice thing to have. If it is his signature, definitely a really cool thing to have. It's possibly my best thing in my collection if it is legitimate. So anyway, I'd love to know what you guys think. I know I've compared it to a lot of signatures, and it's similar to signatures of that era. I think he only started using that little anti-war, you know, like a peace sign upside down. I think he's only started using that in around 2013, 2012. So anyway, I'd love to know what you guys think. Do you think it's legitimate? Maybe if you have anything that's signed, you could compare it to that. And if you have any Metal Gear Solid stuff yourself, I don't have a massive collection. I've only really started collecting Metal Gear Solid stuff, but it's something I'm going to continue doing, and it's a nice thing to collect at the minute, I think. And if you guys have anything you're collecting, please let me know in the comments, and I'll maybe check that out too. So thanks for watching, guys. Remember to check out that Metal Gear Solid 2 video, and hopefully I'll have more Metal Gear Solid stuff on my channel very soon.